A very warm welcome to IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 13. I'm Ritwika Gupta. Tonight we bring you a special pre-budget episode. All through this month we've been speaking to leaders across sectors to understand their expectations from the Union Budget 2026. In today's episode we bring together those insights just for you. Let's get started. Now, this year's Union Budget is expected to place strong emphasis on driving technology-led innovation and accelerating job creation, especially as India eyes GDP growth of over 7%. Against this backdrop, the big question is how policy measures will balance growth, fiscal prudence, and long-term competitiveness. To set the context, we begin with a macro perspective on what India can expect from this year's budget. Joining us first is TV Mohandas Pai, Chairman Aryan Capital and Manipal Global Education. Listen in.
To me, the budget 2026 should focus on job creation. Jobs are the most important thing. Let me give you some data. India is in the midst of a youth bulge. The people born between 1990 to 2000, that is 30 crores. Born between 2000 2010, that is 30 crores. 60 crore of people at 2.5 crores a year, babies being born, are coming into the workforce right now. That means 2.5 crore new people come into the workforce every year for the next 10 years. And next 10, 20 years, then 15 years. We got to provide them jobs. At least 1.8, 1.9 crore people require jobs. We're producing 1.4, 1.5 crore jobs as per EPFO, but 80% job pay less than 20, 25,000 rupees a month, and they need more money. And that is the key issue. They're not earning enough money for the effort they're putting in because we are labor surplus. So what should we do? We should create a job program whereby we declare 350 of the poorest districts in India. Niti Aayog has got the data as special employment zones and say anybody in these districts starting and employing somebody paying ESIPF will get 2,500 rupees a month for 24 months as a grant from the government. Government should pay the employees' contribution of ESIPF for these 350 districts. This incentivizes job creation in the poorer rural parts. Second, the 5,000 census towns, small towns, government must give them at least 20 crores a year for the next 5 years to improve the infrastructure, power, roads, sewage, water, etc. So they become better places to stay, and enterprises can come there and grow using this incentive for job creation. They happen to be close to the 350 districts. And the third, the government must spend at least 1 lakh crore a year from the central government for the 20 big towns. Because urbanization is going to determine the future of India. And politically, it makes sense to, big cities create more jobs. Delhi is favored by government. Government of India gives so much of money because they are there. Bangalore is the second highest tax-paying city in India. But what does Bangalore get in return? Peanuts. I think the central government should take a pragmatic view. And politically, it makes sense for a very important reason, which I think the media should understand. We're going to have a census next year. Based on a census, we're going to have delimitation. Delimitation means two things. One, the number of seats in the state legislature and parliament will increase. Second, there'll be more seats for urban areas. And I think the people who come from the urban areas, the MPs and MLAs, will have to respond to them. So you have to invest more in them because political power for any political party to come from urban areas. Today, the government of India and state government spend 10 lakh crore as subsidies. Central government 4 lakh crores, Karnataka 1 lakh crore, Tamil Nadu 1 lakh 42,000 crores, Maharashtra 80,000 crores, etc. They're spending 10 lakh crores. How much are they spending on the big city? Peanuts. So we got to spend on the big cities. And we got to make sure the quality of life improves. We got to spend on the smaller cities, and we got to spend in the rural areas to create jobs. To me, this should be the number one priority, apart from all others, in the national budget. And that will take India forward.
Now, MSMEs form the backbone of India's economy, playing a critical role in employment generation and industrial growth. Every year, the sector looks to the Union Budget for meaningful relief, be it on taxation or access to credit. The key question this time is what lies in store for micro, small and medium enterprises to sustain growth and further strengthen their role in India's industrial ecosystem. Sharing his perspective is Dr. Ranjit Mehta, CEO and Secretary General, PhD CCI. Listen in.
Yeah, I mean, there are very good initiatives that Government of India has taken in terms of the GEM portal, where around 25% of these products are, especially reserved for women MSMEs. And similar other products, as far as credit access for women entrepreneurs, that is already there. At the same time, as far as the budget is concerned, I think in the budget, what we really need is policy continuity, reforms continuity, number one. Number two, one single thing that we really need is single window clearing system, end to end. It has to be end to end. People don't have to go in multiple windows at all. And secondly, in a time bound manner, and wherever it is beyond the time, it needs to be deemed approved. So that is the thing which is needed. And secondly, I think small businesses, they have a lot of challenges in navigating the regulations. I think that we need to make many things simpler, whether it is GST or many reforms have been done in income tax. That's where it is needed. And otherwise, I think that overall cost of doing business, it's not only the ease of doing business, it's also the cost of doing business, which is very, very important. The states have to come forward in this. I think the acquisition of the land and demarcation of land, the cost of land has really gone up. Power reforms are there, which is the state subject, where how fast the people can have power, and environment clearances, various other clearances. I think if it is single window clearance system is made, which is end to end and with the deemed approvals, that will be a real help for the industry. I think that's where we are working, because today we are in a very interesting time. India remains one of the fastest growing economy in the world, and we are taking off. We are at the takeoff stage. This is where we need the policy continuity, reform continuity. We don't want to see, reform fatigue at all. I think, the budget 26 will definitely focus on this continuity, and I think there'll be something good for green energy, for MSMEs, and for, of course, infrastructure, and for ease of doing business.
Now, last year alone, 24,000 women-led MSMEs shut down across India, a stark reminder of the widening gap between policy intent and on-ground realities. The concerns facing women entrepreneurs remain pressing. So what corrective steps can this year's budget take? What more needs to be done to strengthen the broader MSME ecosystem? Sharing his insights on this is Rajiv K. Chawla, Chairman IMSME of India and Jairaj Group.
We are expecting this budget to give a lot of MSME support, incentives. And for women, I do agree. In fact, in the last budget, the government announced one Stand Up India scheme where they said that women entrepreneurs will now get loans up to 2 crore rupees without collateral security. Unfortunately, that scheme has still not been notified. The rules have not been laid. So almost 1 year has passed and now we are close to the budget. However, this kind of a lapse is rare, but I've seen this, I've noticed this. I am expecting that the budget will have a lot of support for every section, but of course, for the section that requires more support, for aspirational districts, for weaker sections, for SC/ST categories, and for women. Every state, every time I see more and more supports coming in form of interest rate subventions, collateral-free loans, etc. So let me also tell you, while women are getting a lot of support and new policies are being announced, ultimately it is the implementation at the grassroots. That's what matters. And that challenge, that gap remains for everyone. So I am totally with you. And I hope that this ease of doing business, this reform measure as we see, will enhance and accelerate the process through which these benefits will reach the grassroots entrepreneurs. And but I must tell you one thing. Markets, when they buy something, they never ask whether made by a man or a woman, or made in Kerala or made in Delhi, whatever, the market buys on the basis of cost, quality, delivery. So that competitiveness is very important. But women entrepreneurs definitely need more support, and I'm totally with you there. And I also expect that the government would have more to announce this year.
For the commercial real estate sector, expectations from this year's budget are anchored in greater clarity on tax incentives and policies that unlock institutional and foreign capital. With office demand stabilizing and REITs playing an important role in the market, stakeholders are looking for measures that support sustained development. To share his expectations from the union budget and what it could mean for India's commercial real estate landscape, we now have Ramesh Nair, CEO and Managing Director, Mindspace REIT.
This government, Ritwika, has done a fantastic job over the years in terms of just supporting the commercial and the REIT sector. Let's name a few. 3 years back, if you had wanted to buy a REIT unit, the minimum you had to pay was a 2 lakh rupee to trade a lot. Today, you can buy 1 unit. That's the government's big reform which they did. Second big thing the government did was also the REIT reclassification. Today, a REIT is classified as an equity product. That's definitely helping. SEZ demarcation. This government brought in these rules early last year, wherein SEZ flows could be converted into non-SEZ, demarcated into non-SEZ. So that's again a big reform which the government has done. What are 3-4 things I think which which the government could do in the budget? One is today the banks can lend to SPVs. Maybe banks could be allowed to lend directly to the REITs. That's something we could look at. Secondly, increasing the overall quantum of investments, the limits which mutual funds have, which insurance companies have. If those limits can be increased, I think that'll be great. Input tax credit today, which is given on sale of properties, if those benefits can be given for commercial leasing, I think that's something which should again help. Also, if the government can encourage provident funds to increase their allocation towards REITs, that would again help the sector. So these are some of the things which could overall help the sector.
It's time for a quick break here. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back to IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 13. You're watching our special pre-budget episode, and we are bringing you pre-budget expectations and insights from leaders across different sectors. Now, the retail industry is another key barometer of India's economic momentum. As the sector looks ahead to the union budget, retailers are eager to understand what policy measures might support them across both organized and emerging formats. To share his views on what the budget could mean for the retail landscape, we hear from Lalit Agarwal, founder and managing director of V-Mart Retail.
I think we definitely want government to think more, be more populist because of all of this tariff, as people are saying about international businesses. We think we need to grow our domestic business more. We need to leave more money for the consumer. We need to definitely bring in more liquidity into the economy. We need to definitely, the inflation has been tamed. It is definitely under control. We are also hearing that the new salaries of the governments are also going to get increased. That also will bring in a lot of liquidity. We want government to organize some consumption festivals. We want government to really, because the GST is one thing that we saw. So we want government to really think about all of that. But I think government is doing a lot of these efforts. We saw that from the GST or the income tax pieces. But I think government needs definitely more employment. and increase in the GDP, because the consumer need to have more money in their pocket so that they can spend.
The construction industry remains a critical driver of India's infrastructure ambitions and economic growth. For Budget 2026, stakeholders are watching for measures that can improve bottlenecks and support sustainable expansion. To offer his perspective on what this year's budget could mean for the construction sector, we have Jairam Panch, Chief Operating Officer, Turner International.
It will be an extension of the last year. That's what I feel. There's a lot of benefits given to the construction industry. Even though I would suggest if there are any tax benefits that are available, both for the contractors as well as for the consultants, it would help a lot in the long run. A lot of MSMEs, we all work on the cash flow, and in order to be stronger on the cash flow, which will help us, run the business more efficiently and cater to the larger market, I think such small initiatives will really help. But government must continue to keep up the push and the investment on infrastructure. I would definitely give a lot of focus on, while we are doing all this, don't forget the environment. We need to protect the environment that we are in, and construction is quite notorious for generating a lot of dust and being less sustainable and things like that. So there should be a lot of efforts going towards that.
Now, the consumer tech and hardware sector is evolving rapidly, driven by innovation, localization, and changing consumer preferences. Budget expectations center around policy signals that can support manufacturing, strengthen supply chains, and encourage product innovation at scale. To share their perspectives on what this year's budget could mean for India's consumer tech and hardware ecosystem, we hear from Naya Saggi, founder and CEO, and Vyasa Teja Rao, co-founder and chief designer officer at EDT. Listen in.
There is, I think some work has already happened on GST rationalization in the last year, which I think has been very positive for many industries. And therefore, if there is a way to rationalize more of the taxes, and especially, when you think about the incentives for younger startups such as ours, which are more design-led hardware startups versus volume oriented ventures as of date, right? Because today we can't command the volumes because we're just starting off our journey. But if there's some rationalizations we can do there, some incentives that we can do there, that will be extremely helpful for more and more hardware startups to emerge in the Indian context, to have that support from the government. And number two, there is, of course, and rightfully so, a lot of compliance that the government demands today from companies that are manufacturing in India or making for the Indian market. And, to ensure that that process can be made faster, more expeditious, because consumer markets are unforgiving. And therefore, the faster we can get with the right focus on quality and compliance, of course, but the faster we can get, the more transparent that process can get, the better it is for more and more hardware ventures to emerge out of India. I think these are the two pieces I would really index on. And I mean, the government is always listening to entrepreneurs, which is extremely positive. So excited for this budget, actually.
I think I would just basically index on two very important things which are close to me personally. I feel if we can have more options for, let's say, prototyping and pilot manufacturing and tax relief or grants on some of these things. I know we have a lot of these for, let's say, patents and applications for those. But let's say if we could, get some help on grants for tooling, or let's say there's even testing or even early production. Every consumer product that goes out in the market has a sort of a pilot test production run, right? It'll be a 50 to 100 piece production run. So if there is some relief, and let's say whether it could be tax or whether it's grants coming in those areas, I think it would scale hardware manufacturing or EMS manufacturing in India to really great levels. The other one I would say is a little bit of work on the import-export component, especially in terms of duty rationalization. This is especially for electronics and smart hardware. I know India is just starting off, and the pace that we've achieved, right, is massive. There's a lot of adoption. We work locally with a lot of these EMS manufacturers as well as R&D houses as well. And we've constantly heard that there is some sort of ambiguity around certain aspects in the import-export of certain hardware components. So I feel these two are very important. And to make an overall point, I don't think India lacks founders. right? I think the right thing for early stage hardware startups like us is mainly built around these infrastructure things.
And finally, we are putting the spotlight on food infrastructure and the export sector. With global demand for quality Indian produce on the rise, stakeholders are keen to see measures that could boost investment in cold chains, processing facilities and market access. To share his Budget 2026 expectations for the sector, we hear from Dhruv Arora, Managing Director of the Jasper Group.
Talk about the budget right now, 2026. If I talk about 2025, yes, the government has taken very good initiative. Earlier, the frozen food segment was at 12% GST and 18% GST. So some products were at 12%, some products were at 18%. Right now, in October 2025, all products have come under 5% GST. But what we as Jasper think, or what we want, that government should actually should start doing the ITC, GST ITC for these QSR chains as well. So right now, the GST ITC, like that is the input tax credit, that facility is not being availed to any QSR chain in India. So that see, suppose the product is at 100 rupees per kg, right? And we are billing it at 100 rupees per kg to our customer. GST 5%, 5 rupees is added to the cost of the product. So actually, the products become at 105 rupees per kg. So if they are willing to, like the government supports and give that ITC credit to a customer, where that 5 rupees GST can be claimed, because again, GST is claimable for us as a manufacturer, but not for the QSR industry in India. Right now, budget 2026 should be, if for we are talking about the QSR industry, there should be a GST ITC for QSR industries as well.
With that, it's a wrap on this episode of IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 13. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Stay tuned for our budget special panel airing next Monday, 2nd February, 7:30 p.m. on ET Now. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.